Good afternoon, everyone. If you did not come in through the multi-purpose room to pick up some snacks and goodies, they're available afterwards. So if people are available to stick around a little bit and to chat at the conclusion of the ceremony, then that would be awesome. The Lin-Wood Hall of Fame introduced its first class 10 years ago in 2008. Since that time, we have had approximately 75 former players, coaches, and contributors who have been inducted into this prestigious organization. There are many inductees from the 1930s through the 1960s who attended either Lincoln High School or Woodstock High School, as well as those from Lin-Wood High School, which was started in the mid-60s. The Hall of Fame plaque is displayed in the multi-purpose room next door for all to see. And the plaque, when we conclude tonight, the plaque is up there in the easel, and all of the names of the past Hall of Fame inductees as well as the current ones are there to be looked at. The 2018 Hall of Fame class is rich with athletes from the past 30 years whose names appeared in local and state news on a regular basis with impressive accomplishments of these amazing athletes. Tonight, we'll introduce the inductees and take a walk down memory lane and refresh our minds and recap their heroics and celebrate their contributions to our school and community. And the first person that we are going to talk about tonight is going to be introduced by Mrs. Crow.
The fact that there are a number of athletes here tonight who were in high school when I started teaching here is making me feel a little on the old side. Thank you for providing with me the opportunity to introduce Brandy Mechanic to the Lin-Wood Athletic Hall of Fame. There are a few athletes over the years I've had the honor of coaching who measured up to Randy. She modeled for others on the field and the court her work ethic, her natural talent, her fortitude, and ability to dig really deep when life gets hard. All these years later, when I see her from afar, showing condos in my neighborhood, I smile as her walk reflects the confidence, pride, and grace she learned in sport. Randy scored at least 50 goals in her middle school career and another 65 in high school, assisted many more, and led her team to a state championship in the 9th grade. Earned Best Contributor to the team voted by her peers for 3 out of 4 years of high school in both soccer and basketball. Earned the Coaches Award for 2 of her 4 years of high school, again, both in soccer and hoops. All-State First Team, Granite State First Team for basketball and soccer, and Granite State Player of the Year, way back in 2006. The same year she scored her 1,000th point. Also the same year she earned the NHIA Sportsmanship Award and runner-up Player of the Year. Her last year of high school, she won the New Hampshire Senior Scholar Athlete Award. She also played softball, was inducted into the National Honor Society, and achieved academic success in her classes. Her mom and fellow coach Paula shared, "She was the most selfless player that I have ever had the opportunity to coach, and led her teams with pride and good sportsmanship, no matter what was going on the court or field." She gave back to the school by being my assistant coach for 4 years, thereby continuing her commitment to grow our Lin-Wood program. However, as good as Randy looked on paper and in the stat book, what I will remember most about this young woman is the way she carried herself in difficult moments, how hard she worked to become a better athlete, and the pivotal moments of adolescence where she made good choices for others to look up to, as well as being a normal teenager with mistakes for others to learn from. Randy drove other teams crazy on the soccer field. She always seemed to be at the right place at the right time, most often due to the fact that she worked incredibly hard to be everywhere for her teammates. Furthermore, as a sophomore and junior, she had to be pushed hard to actually shoot the ball, much more comfortable assisting rather than scoring. Her unselfish play by constantly passing in front of the goal showed others how much she thrived on helping her teammates to shine. Her skill and athletic prowess made her a formidable player for any team, and her level of coachability was extremely high. She carries these same values as an adult, which makes anyone who has ever been connected with Randy super proud in welcoming her to the Lin-Wood Athletic Hall of Fame.
Heather, you didn't get the memo, it's like a minute or less. So if you open up your program, there's our millennials in the middle. And I have the honor of presenting 3 of the 4 millennials. First I'll start with Sarah LeClaire. As you can see, we have quite a bit of athleticism here. All-state first team soccer. When I asked her for some of her accolades, the memory wasn't jogged very well. It took her like 4 days and about 1,000 texts. I got overwhelmed and just went, here, you're done. But all-state first team soccer, all-state first team, a couple years in a row, all-conference team soccer, Granite State honorable mention, Granite State first team in basketball, 1,000-point scorer. You know, I've had the pleasure to be able to coach 2 of those ladies on that girls basketball 1,000-point scorer. And as a coach, there's nothing more satisfying than being able to be there for both of you. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears on the basketball court with Sarah and I. It started her sophomore year. I came up as a varsity coach, and it was a rough year, very rough year, but we went, you know, we started rock bottom, last place. And I actually expected Sarah to be the leader on the court because of her skilled play. It was probably not one game that we didn't butt heads and have an argument, and there was this incident in Groveton when we were in a closet. Anyway, I didn't see a basketball player when I watched Sarah. I saw a determined, well-focused, hard-working, wanting to win, passionate player. The 1,000 points just came with it. It wasn't easy, but we did it. So congratulations, Sarah LeClaire, for being inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame. Next I have Darren and Ross. Well, they had a lot of accolades also. But Aaron played soccer all 4 years. On October 25th in 03, he scored his 50th career goal. He was the MVP of the championship game. He was selected to Granite State Conference as a junior and senior. A quote from the video of the championship game from Mr. Nelson is, "Macaulay has a quick release. You have to watch out because when that ball gets on his foot, it's quick and bang." Can't see Mr. Nelson saying. Mr. Massimil also quoted, "Macaulay kicks a ball as fast and as hard as anyone I know." Played basketball all 4 years and was a great athlete. Ross played basketball 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade also. Some of his accomplishments are scoring thousands of points as a junior, where everyone else did that as a senior. Total for the 4 years, over 1,300 points. Granite State Soccer, All-State, you name it, MVP on the senior games. During his middle school career, he scored 888 points in basketball, and that's 3 years, correct? So almost making 1,000 points in that time frame. So I sat and asked his mom for some tips, and we were trying to talk about what can I say. And so this is my speech. So this is a very nice drawing of my mother's backyard, because I had forgotten, because I'm getting old, that they grew up behind my mom. And every Sunday night we went for dinner, and Ross and Aaron would be passionately playing ball behind my mother's fence. And every time the ball got bounced in my mother's yard, well, lots of profanities were said. I'm surprised, and I'm glad that they continued, even though this little old lady was yelling at them every Sunday night, you know what. So it was a funny little story, and when he got home, my stepson, he grabbed a napkin, and his was this long, and he said, I want to give the speech. And I said, oh, you know Ross and Aaron? He goes, who's Ross and Aaron? So congratulations to Ross and Aaron McCall. You can bring all your babies if you'd like.
My name is Justin Vance, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my baseball coach and good friend, Kevin O'Brien. From middle school summer ball to high school, Kevin's led not just me, but my teammates and our community into a positive direction. If there was anything I could personally go back on, it would be to relive the mentoring emotions Coach O'Brien has delivered. Growing up in a small community, Kevin has set the tone towards success. He's a great coach and a great friend. In order to see Coach K being nominated into the Lincoln Public School Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everyone. I have the privilege to speak on behalf of Mr. Charlie Martin. Not much information that we could dig up about Mr. Martin, so I'm going to do my best to talk about him. Charlie Martin graduated in Lin-Wood in 1941. Charlie was a member of the baseball and basketball teams here at Lin-Wood. He proceeded to leave Lin-Wood and he joined the U.S. Navy. The coach in this little article, if you flip to page 4 or 5, said Charlie was a great leader on and off the field, and he was greatly missed when he departed Lin-Wood after his graduation. So I'm not sure if anybody here is representing Mr. Charlie Martin. If so, can that person come on up? And secondly, I have the privilege and honor to speak for Mr. Ryan Jones. Very long list of accomplishments. We'll start. Freshman year, he was a varsity JV, varsity basketball and cross-country member. He also looks like he really enjoyed basketball. He played AAU. Won on the gold team, AAU National Championship Tournament team. He was very active in his class. He was the class president. He went to Plymouth State basketball camp, St. Joe's Youth Group, organized class activities. Senior year, he was the member of the cross-country team, Honor Society, and the Salutatorian. Honors and awards. President's Award for Outstanding Community Service, varsity basketball captain, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. All-State Basketball Honorable Mention, All-State Basketball Second Team, MVP in the 10th and 11th grade, MVP of the Groveton Christmas Tournament. 90s plus Blazers, so it was not just athletics, it was in the classroom as well. Ryan then proceeded to attend Springfield College. He got a master's in, went to Ithaca College. He currently lives in Export, Pennsylvania with his wife, Elizabeth, and their 6 children. He is the owner and operator of Jones Consul Surveyors. He loves to hunt, fish with his family, rock climbing, and is very active in his church. I'm not sure who's representing Mr. Jones. Come on up, man. Ryan Jones also did score 1,000 points, so he is on the banner. It's currently down because one of our students this year reached that milestone, so that's getting etched on as we speak. So.
Anyone who followed rec and middle school athletics in the Lin-Wood community in the early 1990s was aware that Nick Bijou was going to make an immediate impact on the varsity teams when he arrived in high school, and he sure did. He left his mark as a 3-sport athlete: soccer, basketball, and baseball. Nick was a player who you wanted to have the soccer ball late in the game when the score was tied and you needed a goal. He was a player that you wanted at the free throw line, needing to make 2 foul shots when you were down by 2 points and no time left on the clock. A player that you wanted at the plate in a baseball game, with the bases loaded in the last inning with 2 outs and the game on the line. He loved being in the spotlight and upped his game when it mattered the most. Nick received numerous accolades for his performances during his first 3 years of high school, but his senior year is the one that is most remembered. He was a player on the 1997 state soccer championship and was named the tournament most valuable player. He was a first-team All-State selection and was chosen to play in the Twin State Lions Cup All-Star Classic. He was an All-State selection in basketball and baseball and was named Littleton Courier Athlete of the Week. Nick went on to play soccer and baseball at Keene State College and was very successful in these 2 programs. It is my pleasure to welcome Nick Bijou into the Lin-Wood Hall of Fame, and I'd like to bring Oliver and Evan up to receive the award.
This is a special year. This is a really amazing group. This is the first time that I've been involved with the Lin-Wood Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame, that I've either coached or taught some of these student athletes. Actually, 10 of the 11, which is really amazing. I wasn't here for Charlie Martin, even though some people think I But I remember, Randy and Sarah on the playground just dominating, beating all the boys. It was great. I remember the Macaulays in basketball, just, non-stop playing all the time. And, I see Evan and Oliver up here, and it's like, wow, it goes by quick. And, it's nice to see that their hard work and what they gave to our school, and they're getting recognized. So I want to congratulate everyone for their acknowledgement today. Good job. The first person I'm here to speak about is Jeremy Nelson. I was fortunate that my first year teaching here was Jeremy's sophomore year. And I saw him excel at all 3 sports. Not very often do we have an all-state in all 3 sports, an all-state athlete in all 3 sports. He was the lead defender in soccer. He was a big part of the basketball team, along with Ryan Jones. We had 2 1,000-point scorers at the same time. I don't think that's ever happened here. I look up the banner; it's not there, but I'm pretty sure that's the only time. Unless actually Randy and Sarah, you guys were on the team at the same time, right? Yeah. So for boys. Jeremy in baseball, he was center stage, not just because he was a pitcher, but because of his presence. He worked hard, excellent player, and the command he had from his freshman year was amazing. I did see Jeremy ski on occasion, and I do think that if I had gotten here earlier, he might have been a skier, and that would have been nice. But I knew when I started coaching, that I had the opportunity to coach somebody really special. I couldn't throw away a picture of him right here. Thanks, Coach Louds, his senior year. Still have it in my office, and wow, it's like it's a long time, but I can't, I don't know where I put it, but I'm going to hold on to it probably forever. So he was a special athlete for sure. He pitched a lot. He pitched in over 60% of our games, and 13 times over his 4-year career, he had 10 or more strikeouts. 13 times he struck out more than 10 people. And on 2 occasions, he struck out 15 people in a game. And ever since his freshman year all the way to his senior year, he was dominant. And I got a call from Bob the other day. I said, Jeremy said he struck out 400 people. And he was pretty close. And he didn't know that I actually saved all the books. So I spent a good part of today, when I probably should have been teaching PE, with some other helpers, and we went through every game, and because you're trying to do the math on that, and I remember it was a big number. It was a big number. It was 336, which is over 300, and that is impressive. And to my knowledge, the highest anyone is. Coach K, you might know, but that's averaging. He averaged about 85 to 90 strikeouts a year, which was amazing. He was also a member of the Lions Cup soccer team. He went on to play 2 sports at Husson University, and at that time, he was named All-Conference for baseball 2 of those years, and in 2010 was inducted into the Husson Athletic Hall of Fame, which is an amazing accomplishment as well. I feel very fortunate to have coached him, and since I am kind of nostalgic, I also remember when he went to Husson, he came back and he's like, Coach, he had the baseball coach that I wanted to play for. I wanted to go to UNAME and play baseball, and it was John Lincoln, who happened to be the assistant coach there at the time, and he'd written a lot of books, and he had some connections. Anyway, they went to play baseball in Japan. And that's a big deal. Playing baseball is a big deal, but playing in Japan is a huge deal. And he brought back a ball, Japan tour in 1998. And I still have that as well. And if his daughters want it, I'd be happy to give it to him. So, on behalf of Lin-Wood Public School, I'd like to congratulate Jeremy Nelson. I believe Jody is going to come up and accept his award.
Zach Miller brought a work ethic to an athletic team that was second to none. He had excellent athletic skills and always focused on improving them. He showed leadership qualities at an early age as a student and as an athlete that have carried with him throughout his life. Zach was a great teammate. He made all members of the team, whether they were a starter or a substitute, feel important by including them in conversations, whether it be on the bus, on the bench, or in school. Zach's presence on a team always improved the chemistry of a team. Zach was very humble when it came to his own accolades as a player, and he was always looking out for the others, and many times more than himself. Team success was more important for Zach than individual accomplishments. I forgot the second page. Zach wouldn't have done that. He's far more organized. Zach was an outstanding three-sport athlete and participated in soccer, basketball, and baseball during his high school career. Highlighting his soccer success during his senior year will show us how good he really was. He was a member of the 1997 state soccer championship team. He was a first-team All-State. He was a member of the Twin State All-Star Cup Classic. And he was an All-New England selection in soccer, which is the only time that we've ever had a Lin-Wood soccer player be recognized in All-New England status, which is a huge accomplishment. And he also scored 62 goals during his high school career, which is amazing. Zach loved being a student athlete and always proud to say that he went to high school at Lin-Wood. Zach currently lives in Maryland, but in typical Zach fashion, he said, "I'm coming to school early today because I want to visit high school classes and share some of my own personal experiences as a student, as well as the importance of making good career decisions." And Zach is a person throughout his entire life, once again, is caring about others and sometimes more than himself. It is my great pleasure to welcome Zach Miller into the Lin-Wood Hall of Fame.
One thing that was pretty cool, Zach sent me an email and said, hey coach, I'm coming to the Hall of Fame. You want to play catch? So at 3 o'clock we went out to the ball field and played catch. I broke open a new ball, and that ball, we didn't miss it. So it hasn't touched the ground yet, so I knew I wasn't going to miss it, and I think you felt the same way. I have the privilege of speaking for Josh Lawton. I was Josh's coach in skiing as well as baseball, and I also saw him race at weekends at Loon Race Team, or at the time was Loon Ski Club. Some of Josh's accomplishments include being on the runner-up soccer team in 1995, and each year he said they made it deep into the playoffs, that he played soccer. In ski racing, he was on the 1996 state championship team, which I think you have to take a step back, at least now, with some of the recent success that we've had. At the time, in 1996, we hadn't won a boys ski championship since 1975. So to win one was a huge deal. And I was fresh into my coaching career, and the race was at Loon, and I was pumped up. And I remember saying, hey, you guys win, I'll shave my head. Now it's not as big a deal, but at the time, it was a big deal, especially since I was getting married in like 2 months, and I didn't talk to my fiance, who's now my wife. And anyway, it worked out, but I wasn't thinking about what was more important. But we won, and my hair grew. He was also, the following year, we didn't win, but he won the individual giant slalom championship, which is a huge deal. And he was the first name on the boys state championship individual banner over there, and that's something that he should be very proud of. The year that we won the 1996 state championship, the divisions were different, and we were competing against a lot of larger schools, which in skiing doesn't necessarily, it's not as much of a big deal because we're closer to the mountains, but it just happened to be on this team for King. A couple of those skiers advanced to that next level of collegiate, and one of them actually advanced to the U.S. ski team. So we were racing against some pretty good skiers that year, and we won. And we didn't know that was going to happen then, but looking back on it, that was a huge accomplishment. One thing as well that Josh accomplished was that he was the 1997 Littleton Courier Athlete of the Year, which speaks volumes for what type of person he is, an athlete he was. Because I had a good rapport with Josh, and I knew that he was a really good athlete, I talked him into playing baseball. And he may not have played baseball if I wasn't coaching and asked him every day during ski team, are you going to play baseball? He finally gave in and played. And I was trying to come up with a term, but I think a scrappy ball player is probably the most appropriate term. He would compete. And if you're a coach and you have players that want to compete, that's awesome. And you could hit, you could field, hustle, and ended up being, I think he started when he was playing baseball. Later in the lineup, towards the end, he was our second or third hitter. And really glad I had the opportunity to coach you as well in baseball. Recently, it's in the ski coaching circuit. Josh's family, or son in particular, is involved with ski racing, and I'm still involved with ski racing on weekends. And we've seen each other, and it's been interesting. We have a 17-year-old that kind of knew everything at the time, or thought he did. And I always liked going up to Josh, hey, what'd you think? And he would tell me, oh, that was awful. Or you never sugarcoat anything. You just tell me, what I needed to hear that I couldn't ask anyone else. And for him now as an adult and teacher and parent, he's asking me, so was I like that? Did I do that? How did I handle that? And I was like, well, patience, it'll happen. It's much harder as the parent and coach sometimes, as many of us know in this room. But I've really enjoyed getting to know Josh on that level as well. And it is my privilege and honor to induct Josh Lawton into the Lin-Wood Hall of Fame. I actually have one more thing here. It's probably better that it's up here. Josh always had a lot of style. And had he grown up now with Snapchat, Facebook, and all that, he probably, and cell phones with cameras, he would have had a lot of pictures of him ski racing, but he only had like one or two, which I found hard to believe. But it's this sweet picture of him, and you may not see that GS suit, but it's pretty ugly, but it's like cool ugly. And I've seen that, yeah, I've seen that. And I remember your mom came in and donated some stuff. And you may not want to wear it, but I'm pretty sure, and I did wash it, so it might be, that's why it's a little damp. But I think this is the same suit. There's a hole in a couple places, but maybe you can make a pillowcase with it, or I don't know. But yes, this is over 20 years old, and you know, it's yours if you want it. I don't think anyone else is going to wear it. Yeah, you may have to check it out. But congratulations.
I mentioned at the very beginning of our presentations that we have a Hall of Fame plaque, which some of you may have seen, some of you may not have. It hangs in our multi-purpose room and has been there for the last 10 years. I've asked Mr. Louts to unveil the plaque, and all of the new inductees are on the plaque. Mr. Louts? I know that Linda McCauley, who graciously has taken pictures for us tonight, she would like a picture of everybody up there around the plaque at some point. I would like to talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame induction and kind of how we got here. In the past, we have been having the induction ceremony up in the elementary school, and due to the fact we had a little change in the schedule with the student recognition banquet not being here, we decided to move it down into the gymnasium this year. And one of the reasons we wanted to put it into this room was the fact there's a lot of history here, and a lot of the students who are being recognized, the former students who are being recognized here tonight, have had some unbelievable experiences on this floor and helped build a history that go with this gymnasium. And none of the people who have been inducted played on this new floor, and they had played on the existing floor that was here back in the mid-'60s. And I know that we've had pieces of the floor that have been sold, that a number of our students have bought in the past as kind of a memorabilia. And it's kind of neat to come back to where a lot of the success took place, and the banners and everything that go along with it. So that's I think a good thing that we moved it back here. We would like to thank all of the people who came here tonight. We had a great turnout, and a great turnout in regards to the people who are being inducted. I'd like to thank a few people that helped make this happen. Brenda Vance, she is kind of behind the scenes person, and Brenda she never takes, willing to take credit for what she does, but she does an amazing job. She's an administrative assistant in the office, and Justin was here tonight and presented for Kevin. But Brenda has done the booklets and researched a lot of the information on our student athletes, and she's done an amazing job of that. And also Jack Marshall, who's a food service director, he has prepared some of the goodies that we have if you want to grab something when we finish here tonight. So thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations once again to all of the Hall of Fame inductees. And you helped make Lin-Wood proud, and you put us on the map in so many different ways, and we appreciate your contributions to our school and community. Thank you.